hell time is... Oh my god. This... Sup, fools? Oh, no. You don't get to be funny. Where the hell have you been? Man, it's been like 9 days. It's been like 9 months. Oh, Oh, you what? What, you gonna try and blame somebody else? Are you afraid of responsibility? No, dude, I have no excuse. I take full responsibility. I'm sorry for being away. But I have something for you. Well, it better be chapter 3. And you don't get a fun intro. Yep, fair enough. Punch the title screen and let's roll. Okay, I'm sorry everyone. I know y'all have been waiting for Progressive Preacher and I failed to deliver. I blame only myself and I hope you can find it in your heart to move on. Yeah, I should do that. Genesis chapter 3. Okay, good lord. Let's recap. Genesis chapter 1 is a creation account detailing the god Elohim's work during the creation of all of this stuff. Elohim creates earth and sea and sky and parrots and killer bees and mosquitoes and even human beings whom he makes in his own image. And since he created male and female in his own image, it must be stated that Elohim is feminine, masculine, and everything in between and beyond. Genesis chapter 2 is a creation account detailing the god Yahweh's work during the formation of human beings. It is in this account that we see a parameter set up for humanity, which is to abstain from eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If the humans eat from this tree, they will surely die. Now we're at chapter 3, and this is where the excrement contacts the turbine. And actually, chapter 3 starts kind of with chapter 2, verse 25, where it says the man and his wife were both naked and not ashamed. Naked and not ashamed. That's something to remember. Okay, so now let's get into it. Here we have 2 naked people walking around some garden somewhere and some sort of crafty snake predecessor thing tricking the naked folks into goofy situations. The snake approaches the woman and easily gets into her head. Now remember, she wasn't there when Yahweh gave the order to stay away from that knowledge tree. So everything she knows about it, including the strictness of the warning, was all communicated to her through Adam. That's probably why the snake broke through her defenses and got her to chomp on some of them forbidden thangs. Now, if it were just Eve eating fruit, humanity might be cool. But unfortunately, Adam was standing right there. And he heard the warning from God, but he caved when his wife handed him some fruit. No questions asked. The Bible says he just took and ate. He listened to the voice of others instead of doing the right thing, and it cost them everything. All right. Let's pause here and talk about this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. People always ask me why the hell the tree was even there in the first place, and answers from theologians have varied for centuries. But let me say this. I do not know why that tree was there, and I don't think it matters. At the end of the day, they messed up. They were going to mess up. That is the story. Let's pick back up. Now the Bible says their eyes were open and they knew they were naked. And the first thing they do is try to cover up their fun bits. What? Why? Remember chapter 2 verse 25, naked and unashamed? Remember chapter 1 verse 31, where God looks at his creation and says that it's all good? So if being naked is very good to God, then why cover up? Oh, we see that this knowledge of good and evil has caused a shift in their thinking, but it's not a good shift. They're now trying to cover up things that are true and good, specifically that they're naked or vulnerable. What the hell is going on? So now they hear Yahweh in the garden and they try to hide. Now how wonky is this shit? This knowledge seems to be making them pretty dumb. Look at how they harm themselves and each other thinking that they're doing the right thing. First you see ignorance. Now initially they're naked and we know that Yahweh's totally cool with this. But now the humans think that being naked is bad and awkward, so they make themselves loincloths out of leaves. Leaves shrivel up and die, quick! In their newfound knowledge, they act out of ignorance. Second, you see them hide from truth and safety. When they hear God in the garden, they run and hide from God, the person who can fix the issue and comfort them during this time. In their newfound knowledge, hide from truth. Lastly, you see blame. When God asks what happened, you see them shift the blame. Adam to Eve and God, and then Eve to the serpent. And their newfound knowledge, they skirt responsibility and blame others. The knowledge of good and evil in the hands of humans is frightening because we can intentionally use it against others for our own unjust gains. Like, now that we know what is evil, we can do evil to those who hurt us. Now that we know what's good, we can intentionally withhold good things from others. Like, this would have never happened before. In the garden, you could do things in ignorance and nobody would care. Like, you could run into somebody and they wouldn't see any malice in it, thus they wouldn't try to harm you in return. So picture the scene. Adam and Eve have just messed up this ideal garden situation. You got a serpent, apparently with legs, chilling there all proud of his little disruption. And Yahweh is about to dish out the death he talked about in chapter 2, verse 17. So, let's get into these ass whoopings. Now, first up is this serpent-ass motherfucker. It gets cursed more than any livestock, forced to move on its belly and eat dust all its life. And it will fight with the woman's offspring, whatever the shizer that means. Next, the woman. She will have a hell of a time bearing children. Also, her desire will be for her husband, yet he will rule over her, whatever the shizer that means. And lastly, old boy Adam. The ground gets cursed because of Adam. The ground. And that means he's gonna have a shit time growing food. But did you see what happened? Did you catch it? Now remember that these three got into this situation together but blamed each other for the fallout. Now Yahweh gives them individual ass whoopings, but they're all connected to each other. Verse 14 says the serpent will have to move on its belly and eat dust all its life. Now, what the hell is dust? Verse 19 says that man is dust, and in death he will return to dust.
I like it.
The serpent is also connected to the woman and her offspring. In verse 15, it says that the serpent will bite people's feet, and people will step on his damn head. And of course, the woman and man are connected. Remember how everybody was cool before? Everybody's equal? Well, verse 16 lets us know that there's going to be trouble for couples. They're constantly going to battle over power. You know, is the strong, smart man right? Or is the puny, small-brained woman right? Side note. We gotta remember that this isn't a fresh story being written by a neutral party as it unfolds. The author's probably a person living in a patriarchal society attempting to explain relationship dynamics. How can I say bitches be cray without actually saying it? This isn't God saying men will rule over women. This is a dude saying we used to be equals, but now fellas will abuse the dynamic. And one last interesting connector. Verse 16 mentions intense labor pains with children being born from painful effort. Now these are the same words used to describe the intense work man will undertake to work the ground, as seen in verse 17. I mean, Yahweh makes it very clear. Y'all's asses are in this shit together. All that pointing the finger and trying to blame each other on some harsh ass judgment that you would never give yourself. No. All y'all are getting cursed, and all y'all's curses are connected. Funny thing, Adam's brain's all jacked up because of the fall. Verse 20, pure comedic gold. We literally just come off of God saying that Adam's gonna return to the dust, literally die. And he follows that up with naming his wife Life. That's what Eve means, it means life. The author says he did this, get this, because she was the mother of all the living. Like, bruh. The Bible literally just a few verses before says we're dead men walking. Like, you have to hang your head at the ignorance that's come with this newfound knowledge, right? So I think verses 21 through the end of this chapter are just the palate cleanser. The Yahweh deity makes them clothes from animal skins. Now this is a reminder that they should have never been clothed in the first place, and when they did sin, the loin coverings that they made were inadequate. That's 2 fails, 2, I should have beat y'all's asses, but I was kind. The last thing you see in chapter 3 is the deity mentioning once again this tree of life. Apparently the humans could have eaten from this tree and lived forever, so the Yahweh deity sends the humans out from Eden to work the ground and have babies through painful effort. She also stations some entities called cherubim and something called a flaming, whirling sword there in Eden to guard the tree of life. But why all that? I think the author does 2 things. 1, to live forever in this new tainted reality is cruel to humans. Imagine never being able to die as the human population piles up and we resort to cruelty and violence. No death, just pain upon pain. The author shows that Yahweh was kind in limiting human life. 2, the author basically says, don't try to find this place. There's some creatures and a flaming sword. You're gonna die. Now, he's gotta cover his ass. This place doesn't exist. These are just oral traditions that have been handed down over time. Oh, but you know Yusuf and his crew of idiots are gonna try to find the spot, so he's kinda gotta make it sound like a suicide mission. Oh my God, we are done. We got through it. Takeaways. I mean, if you want takeaways, I've got them, but they are not pretty. Genesis 3 wrecked all of humanity. Yeah, like even us, today, all these years later. First off, where are you getting your information from? But better question, do you like certain information because it makes you feel good? Like, I am the master of avoiding my car's check engine light. I do not want something to be wrong with my vehicle. But just because I don't want something to be true doesn't mean that it's not. I want my car to run at all times without maintenance, so I'll avoid that check engine light. Eve wanted God knowledge, so she disregarded the warnings of death. The serpent's info felt better than Yahweh's info in the moment, but oh, that blatant disregard of truth stung like hell. Us 2021 humans go full beast mode on selective information to our own detriment. I got people sending me links for like educational requirements, and the links are from parody websites or known extremist groups. Now, when I confront these people with factual information, they fight or flight, but rarely do they ever engage appropriately. Remember, we are the byproduct of tainted knowledge. We are idiots who've learned how to print off fake PhDs. Question those things that tickle your ears. Never be afraid of truth or its effects. Accepting the full truth in taxing situations usually leads to the outcomes we'd hope for, even if it's not the truth that we wanted to believe. Now, rejecting or lying about truth usually leads to a diminished ability to recognize and accept real truth, which eventually leads to a painful world of self-sabotage. And all-out lying about the truth and getting caught? Well, that means curtains for that ass. So, living by and accepting the truth is probably the better route, which, on a related note, stop blaming people for your own. Take some responsibility. I'm actually pointing to myself hard on this one. The humans look like idiots trying to place blame. Now, they got the warning from Yahweh, but they clearly wanted to do their own thing. So after that knowledge drop and Boss Man shows up for an internal audit, oh, all of a sudden they want to play the blame game like, oh, well, it's not my fault. Oh, you put a rock there, so I tripped and my open mouth landed on an apple. I should have the freedom to be able to walk around without fear of tripping over rocks and my open mouth landing on apples. Let's make this relevant. In 2020, COVID-19 rocked all of humanity. We're talking about a virus that's killing your loved ones. I have people that I care about that aren't here today because of this virus. It's rocked families and destroyed our economy. And yet, here we are, 2 years later, with a mutated virus and a focus not on eradicating the problem, but on personal rights? What? Look, only an
individual I disagree with
would say that this virus is fake. And only
a person who is normally rational, but in this instance has allowed emotions to cloud their better judgment,
would choose to believe that the virus that we have in December of 2021 is the same virus that we discovered in December of 2019. Yet, that mentality is on grand display when we do things such as refuse to mask, socially distance, or share resources with those countries that are less fortunate than us. And because of that refusal, this virus has been allowed to propagate and mutate to the point of pandemic levels. Eventually, we created vaccines to deal with the threat, but then something funny happened. Those people who initially refused to take proper precautions began spreading lies about the vaccine and thus allowed the virus to even further mutate. And when confronted with that fact, they blamed critical race theory, black people, climate change activists, Asian Americans who've never been outside of America, the other political party, billionaires. And as a result, we all get thrown into the same BS together. Yeah, hey, good luck trying to get a hospital bed if you crack a rib. Your favorite bar or restaurant probably got shut down, and if they didn't, you know they're hurting for staff. Demise is imminent. Hey, keep that resume updated because companies are losing customers who need to cut costs. Loss of customers equals loss of money equals loss of employees. And who the hell do you think is paying the hospital to take care of all those newly unemployed and uninsured individuals? That's right, your tax dollars. All because people refuse to wear a mask. Y'all, the blame game is not what you think it is. It will come back to bite you on the ass. And I'm not just talking about the damn demic here. If you've never been wrong, I can guarantee you've placed blame. Got a project at work that you've messed up and scramble to try and get the heat off of your own back? Oh, here's one. You ever vote for a political representative and then all of a sudden they get really quiet about policy change once they get into office? Yeah, it's not your fault though, right? Nothing you can do about that. F the blame game. The last takeaway is love. Now, love is hard because it means denying yourself in tricky situations. It looks like giving up the chance at knowledge or those things that you desire if it means keeping others out of harm's way. Love is scary because it may mean facing big truths. It looks like talking to people that are different than you and actually listening empathetically to what they're saying. Love looks crazy to those people around us. It means we show kindness to people who cross us. Now, this does not mean that we lay down. Rather, it means that we address the offender and we display a level of unmerited yet self-protective kindness in our response because love is powerful. At the end of the day, those with the biggest hearts are those with the greatest legacies. I'm sure Hitler loved the idea of a pure white Germany, but his hateful actions are the reason his legacy is trash. Gandhi, on the other hand, created a movement based off of loving others the way he would want to be loved. If you had to pick, what are you going for? That Hitler legacy or that Gandhi legacy? I'm choosing love, and I hope you do too. Because at the end of the day, I hope that I can say in good faith with a clean conscience that I listened to the cries of the other, that I vaccinated and wore a mask to prevent the spread of the virus, that I love my neighbor as myself, and I hope that I can look you in the eye and say that I do what I do because I love you and I care about your well-being. And I hope that you can look at me and say that you do what you do because you love me and you care about my well-being. I believe that this is true spirituality, true religion, and truly pleasing to God. So let's love, y'all. Love your God, yourself, and your fellow creation. My name is Bernard, and thanks for watching.